Jashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Damadava Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtattar Shrimad His Divine Grace Lacy Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya narang cheva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityang bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 11, text number 15. Nayavadetang tanubrinnarendra Najavadetang tanubrinnarendra Vidhuyamayam vayunodayena Vidhuyamayam vayunodayena Vimukta sangojita shatsapatno Vimukta sangojita shatsapatno Vedatma tattvam brahmati hattavat Vedatma tattvam brahmati hatavat Najavadetang tanubrinnarendra Vidhuyamayang vayunodayena Vimukta sangojita shatsapatno Vedatma tattvam brahmati hattavat. Please chant. Jai. Hare Krishna. What an intensity. Na, not, yavat, as long as, etam, this, tanubrit, one who has accepted the material body. Narendra, O King, vidhuyamayam, washing away the infection accumulated because of contamination by the material world. Washing away the infection accumulated because of contamination by the material world. Vayuna udayena, by awakening of transcendental knowledge. Due to good association and study of the Vedic literatures. Vimukta Sangaha, free from all material association. Jitta Satchapnaha, Jitta Shat Sapatnaha, conquering the 6 enemies. The 5 knowledge acquiring senses and the mind. Veda knows. Atma Tattvam, spiritual truth. Brahmati, he wanders. Iha, in this material world. Tavat, until that time. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his 6 enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. Purport. When one's mind is absorbed in the material conception, he thinks that he belongs to a particular nation, family, country, or creed. These are called Upādhis, designations, and one has to become freed from them. Sarvapādhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchyate. As long as one is not freed, he has to continue conditioned life in material existence. The human form of life is meant for cleansing away these misconceptions. If this is not done, one has to repeat the cycle of birth and death and thus suffer all material conditions. Du hast die Tendenz, recht laut zu nüssen. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. The soul's designation, the mind. Oh, sorry. Already jumping. My dear King Rahugana, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from the contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his 6 enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you for being here today. I'm jumping in, as you know. We had Harish Govinda Prabhu was supposed to give class, but he booked his train a little early, so then it didn't work out. So, Upādhis. Everybody tell one Upādhi they have in their life.
You mean in our life?
Everybody say an individual Upādhi. I'm a woman, okay. Yamuna. Upādhi. So Upādhi was now explained here in this. You understand English, right? Upādhi is a designation. And Prabhupada gives different kind of examples in this purport. It can be nationality, can be a family, can be a country or a creed or a gender. So these are creed. Creed is like I think creed is like let's have the dictionary.
It's not race.
It's not race.
It's not race. It's also something about not nationality, not race, but different
origins, roots.
It's kind of, yeah, because.
Oh, I can just tell you when the advertisement is over here. This is ridiculous. I paid for this app and now I get. A system of religious belief, a faith. People of many creeds and cultures. A formal statement of Christian belief. A set of beliefs or aims which guide someone's actions.
Thank you.
So whatever I will say now, at least you learned this today. Yes. Any Upādhi you have?
I'm a mother.
You're a mother, yes. Krishnam Prabhu? Italian? You just got a new Upādhi this year.
2 months ago.
Rasamandal, what's your Upādhi?
Brother?
Brother? Okay, yeah, I was also thinking football player. It's a very strong Upādhi. I'm still carrying this Upādhi with me. And I stopped playing football for 15 years now. And I'm still... Maybe you have to take birth again. This reminds me of an amazing story. I think I once told that. I want to tell it because it's a really amazing reincarnation story. I told the story once now. There's some devotee parents and they have a son. I think they live in the US. And their son was always just only interested in playing basketball. And they were so frustrated, you know, he's a devotee kid and It's just all about basketball. And then they consulted some devotee who's doing past life regression. And then this young boy, he went into past life regression, and then he saw himself in a Umkleidekabine, how you say, when you change clothes, dressing room, yeah. And then he saw his body, like strong, big body, and he had basketball shoes on, and then he saw himself on the basketball field playing basketball, and he saw Michael Jordan and many big players. And then he came back to the wardrobe, this changing dressing room, and then he looked into the mirror and he saw a face and he said, "I know this face, I know this person." So that he realized that he saw a famous basketball player who died in a car accident, very young, and apparently took birth again as a devotee. And this devotee who told me that story showed me the pictures of the boy and of the basketball player, and they just look almost the same, you know, especially the eyes. You can see very particular kind of eyes. So it's a big Upādhi, you know, this being a sportsman. So be careful, Rasa Mandalaji. What's your Upādhi?
I'm a skateboarder.
You're a skateboarder, okay, that's also sports. Guru Nishta?
Pardon?
No, that's fine already. Guru Nishta, what's your Upādhi?
Освещающий путь. Ну, может быть,
He said once I had this regression session, and they said that he was in Africa.
где-то там туда, в Африку, вот этих всех. Был я в храме жил, был освещающий путь.
He lived in a temple, and he was like a священник.
Не знаю, ну, как сказали, освещающий путь.
He was a priest.
Okay.
Был электриком, я не знаю.
Okay. Oh, so anyway, we have many Upādhis. I can hear that. That's maybe from past life. Or you still see yourself as an African priest? Hare Krishna. And so we are carrying these Upādhis. It's like a big pile of Upādhis. We have man, brother, son, football player. Now not brahmachari anymore. So I just changed my Upādhi, you know. I'm not now a brahmachari anymore. So we also changed these Upādhis in our life. And the point here in this verse, and which Bharat is saying, as long as we have these Upādhis, we have to take birth again. Because these Upādhis, they bind us to this material world. And of course, Bharat speaks out of experience. He just took birth again, first as a deer, then as Bharat. Why? Because he had Upādhi. He had such an Upādhi of being the caretaker of a deer that he had to take birth again as a deer. So yes, he speaks from practical realization. And he speaks about 6 enemies which we have to conquer. What are the 6 enemies? Yes, here is another one. Yes?
The 5 senses and the mind.
Yeah, so sometimes the 6 enemies are the mind and 5 senses, and sometimes it's lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, and madness. But here it's about the mind and the senses. This is a very, very nice point and important. If you think how much we have teamed up with our mind and our senses. No, whatever the senses and the mind tell us, we accept constantly. But here it is said we have to conquer the enemies. So basically, these are our enemies, and that is a little bit a challenging task because we are so close to them, and it's like our closest family members. And now we have to somehow or other, instead of following them and their dictates, we have to turn it around and become the master. Unless we do that, the mind and senses will, it's like, you know this example of on the chariot, the horses and the reins, and they will just somehow or other bring you throughout the whole universe. Brahmatiha, no? Wandering in this material world. Brahmati. Wandering around. Or in other words, driving around on the chariot. So that is a big challenge we are faced with in our life, how to conquer the 6 enemies, the mind and the senses. And what's the way? How can we do it? By engaging them in devotional service, yes. Sarva Upādhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. This verse is very a crucial one. It's saying what is bhakti. It means that we give up these designations and we engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. Rishikena rishikesha, because Krishna senses, he's the master of the senses, so we should engage our senses in his service. Any examples how this can be done? How can we engage our senses in the service? Come to the morning program and then?
And then we can see the deities with our eyes, we can smell
Okay.
incense and flowers.
Yes, we see the deities, we smell incense,
We also kirtan,
we hear
name,
the holy name.
we dance with our feet. We accept prasadam.
We accept prasadam, that's soon. Looking forward to that.
We don't take advantage of prasadam or sleeping.
We don't take advantage of prasadam.
Staying there and don't take advantage of prasadam and sleeping. Take advantage of the Vedic
The books. Yes, we shouldn't indulge in prasadam. We can take some to satisfy our tongue and belly, but yeah, if then we just after sleep 3 hours, then probably it was too much. Yeah, it's very practical. No, we can sing, we can hear, we can see the deities, we can smell the incense. I always find when we go to India that especially the smelling, somehow in India it comes out much more to me, smelling these nice flowers and the incense. And whenever we come to the Dham, then I feel, oh, I miss that atmosphere, and it's so uplifting. And what about the mind? We do all that, but the mind is thinking about which movie I'm gonna watch tonight on Netflix.
I cancelled.
Jai, that's good.
I cancelled. No more.
All glories to you, Prabhu.
Pardon?
All glories to you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the mind is actually the most important point, that we have to engage our mind, and that it cannot be the biggest challenge, especially if we go through the routine of morning program as an example, because it becomes mechanical and our mind can drift away. And in this way we need to bring the mind back. And it's really done by bringing meaning to what we are doing, by giving substance to when we do arati, when we do kirtan, when we do japa, when we hear Bhagavatam. How can we bring the substance? By hearing. If we understand what we are doing, then we come in with a very we are very aware, we are very alert. Also reminds me when I was a football playing football. We had a coach who was putting a lot of focus on mental training, and he said actually most of the good players, why they are good, because they are mentally very strong. Many they can play nicely, but then what differentiates the good from the less good player is the mind. And so he would do many exercises with us and prepare our mind. And when it comes to a game, preparing the mind begins before. It's not that you can know 5 minutes, not even 5, not even an hour before the game. It will not be sufficient. So it starts. We have a saying, after the game is before the game. No?
Yeah.
So soon as a game stops, it's actually before the next game. So that's when you continue to prepare yourself for the next game. And meaning that whatever you do, you should do it in a way to prepare yourself for the next game. How you eat, how you sleep, how you train, and all these things. And what does it mean for us? For us means after the morning program is before the morning program. If I walk out of this room after the morning program and just forget everything and do a lot of things which are dragging my consciousness down, then the risk is there that the next morning I might not be here due to Maya kicking in and why should I go? So that's why when we step out from the morning program, we can take that boost and prepare ourselves again for the next morning program. In a practical way, we take nice prasadam, we do our service, we wash our clothes, we wash our rooms, we do whatever we need to do, and then we go to bed early. We listen something nice in the evening, and in the morning we don't eat too much in the evening, and then we get up in the morning refreshed. And when we hear something, that's especially important. When we hear something in the evening, that will work within us during the night. If we don't hear something spiritual, we probably hear our mind, or we hear YouTube, or we hear Netflix, and then this will work in the night. So it will maybe play us a movie of I'm this and that, trying to be happy in this world. And then in the morning, when we're supposed to wake up and go to the morning program, our consciousness is being consumed by these thoughts. And even if we make it to the program, it might be that our consciousness is so affected that we stand in front of the deities and we go through the motions, but in our mind, whatever has been happening the night before and in the night is kind of lingering, and this and that and this desire. And on the other hand, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I really, these months I discovered Krishna book as something so wonderful. How Krishna book can give us access to Krishna, his world. And if we listen, so for example myself, what I do, I listen every morning to Krishna book as an audiobook while brushing teeth, showering, changing. And so every day I'm diving into Krishna book. Yesterday evening also I was laying in bed, I was listening Chaitanya Bhagavat. And yeah, somehow this gives me a lot of nourishment, and always in the evening and morning it gives me that connection to what we aspire for, the association of Krishna, Mahaprabhu. And we hear about these loving exchanges, and I feel, because doing it on a daily basis, it adds a little bit of depth every day. And then when I go, of course I'm not saying it's every day, but I say sometimes the experience comes that when I stand in front of the deities, then, for example, I was hearing how Balaram was angry with Arjun because Arjun kidnapped Subhadra. And then when I see Baladev, I say, wow, Baladev. So the memory comes up and it makes it much more alive. Or when I see Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu, he kicked out this brahmachari brahmana from the kirtan because he was not qualified, and in this way that memory comes. Yeah, so that's just a personal example how we can, because the mind is really the center of this, and when we do that, you know, mother or what we have, woman or football player, skateboarder, we cannot just say, okay, now I'm not a skateboarder anymore, I'm not a football player anymore. If we are attached in the mind to that, it's not possible. So this example is given that if you have a glass of milk with some ink inside, and you want to get the ink, the thing out, you pour more, and then eventually it will pour out. And in the similar way, we have these designations, Upādhis, in our mind, and in order to bring them out, we just have to pour Krishna consciousness into our minds, and then the unwanted things, they come out naturally. Like Yamuna said, we have to engage our senses and our mind. And in the beginning, that can be a little bit painful. I want to read from the Upadeshamrita. It's a very beautiful verse. Syat Krishna nama charitadi sitapya vidya pitopa tapta rasanasana rochikanu kint adarad anudinam kalu saiva jushta swadvi kramat bhavati tatkada mula hantri. The holy name, character, pastimes and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Do you have this experience that you find it very difficult to chant or be in the Mangalarati or listen to Bhagavatam, that somehow it's dry?
Easy in the temple.
Yeah, in the temple it's easier, and at home I guess it's more difficult.
It's a different story.
If you have a home or wherever else. Yeah, it's in the temple it's easier, but I guess you have this experience, no, that you're chanting, it's kind of dry and mechanical. But Rupa Goswami, he says that Kint adarad anudinam kalusaiva jushta. Adarat anudinam. If adarat, carefully, anudinam, every day, can also mean 24 hours daily, but that can be discouraging to us if you are 24 hours. I'm not going to do that. But every day is something we can do. And that's wonderful. That's the wonderful thing about this. If we just do it every day, then we can awaken this taste again. In the beginning, we should clinch on to these things which give us some taste. It might not be that we have so much taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of the planetary systems. That might be a little dry. But then let's take whatever gives us taste. So if it's prasadam, take as much prasadam as you can. If it's kirtan, then go into the kirtan. And slowly but surely we should integrate more aspects in our spiritual life. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai, Shishi Gornitai Ki Jai. And if you do that, we all have the experience, like I was sharing personally. If we do it on a daily basis, then we will increase our attachment to Krishna. It's also in the sports. Someone who wants to build muscles, in the beginning it looks like you do something and nothing happens. But if you do it every day, slowly the muscle builds up and you become stronger. And yeah, initially when let's say you don't do exercise for a long time, then you start, the first day is so difficult, and the second, the third. But then slowly you feel, wow, I'm gaining strength. And in the similar way, whatever position we are spiritually, sometimes we become weak. But if we just start again and go through the challenge of getting it rolling, after some time it will be good. It will give us strength, and then we just need to remain on that road of practicing and not fall down, because that always breaks our progress. So it's not, basically I wanted to speak about these points, or spontaneously, I didn't really prepare, because to change our Upādhis, as Prabhupada is saying here, it's not something we can just do overnight. It's our life's mission to do that. And another way how we can look at life is we can look at life in stages, something which is also relevant for me these days. And we look at many examples of devotees. They naturally have some Upādhis. Yudhishthira Maharaj, I read something in the database. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was the emperor of the whole world, and he must have had some Upādhis naturally. It's not that he's a stone. He was an emperor. You need some Upādhis also to, maybe not Upādhi in his case, that it's become detrimental to his devotional service, but certainly he has some identification. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also gave the example when he came to a certain point in his life, he took Vanaprastha and he left. And he was very strict. He just left everything. He left his dress and his past, and he just went into the wilderness and completely focused on Krishna. And that's something we can also think about. Okay, how do I manage my life? Maybe it's not realistic that I give up all my Upādhis today or tomorrow, but why not go through these stages which have been given by Krishna? And if I do this, Krishna should empower me, because he has established these stages, and then the guarantee that I will be successful in giving up Upādhis is much higher than if I think I can do it in my own way. And Varnashram Dharma is so nice that the challenge comes in the Grihastha ashram, because there we really get involved, and we get a lot of identification because our body is engaged. And therefore, in the Varnashram Dharma, the Brahmacharya stage is preparing one that the person doesn't just go into the Grihastha ashram and then gets overwhelmed by all of this, but builds up a certain stamina in the consciousness and then goes inside, but basically goes inside with the understanding that I go in and go out at some point. That's actually the idea. I know this is a very problematic point, because this gives fear to many people. To leave this, what does it mean, Vanaprastha? It means you give up things. And I even know many devotees, when they hear about this, they have a big challenge internally, because it gives them fear. Yeah.
Because probably they didn't enter with this thought that we would go out at one point.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe often it happens quite unconsciously also that. But yeah, that's the point, that the Vedic culture knows that these Upādhis are strong, and that's why the Vanaprastha and for some the sannyas stage is there, so that after going through life we can again prepare and give up all these Upādhis and prepare for the next life and hopefully attain a spiritual destination. So in this way, by our and of course going into the Grihastham, it doesn't mean that we give up our practice of Anudinam, Adarat Anudinam, chanting the name and worshipping the Lord and hearing. That has to continue. It's an ashram. And if we go through it properly, Krishna will certainly empower us that at the end of life we can give up our Upādhis. If we do our job properly, Krishna will help. Krishna helps those who help themselves. So these are a few thoughts. If you have any comments or questions, then feel free. Wolimano Prabhu.
I forgot. You could figure out Upādhis you mentioned. Maybe you can just.
The Prabhupada translates as designation. I always try to reflect about the Sanskrit word, and even though I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but di means like a meditation, no? Di. And upa is kind of something which is, sounds like something which is very deep in our mind, and or a foundational thing in our mind. Yes, Yamuna?
As you mentioned also, we make many Upādhis also in the movement. Probably you can relate this. And is it as dangerous as other Upādhis, like we mentioned before, like women country things, or is it actually better in that sense? And do we also have to try to really give up all Upādhis also in devotional service?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in our practice also we gain some Upādhis. I'm a temple president, I'm a brahmachari, I'm a GBC, I'm a head puchari, I'm a cook, I'm a book distributor. So these are all Upādhis. And how do we deal with them? How dangerous are them? One thing that comes to my mind, Prabhupada in one purport speaks about the Upādhi of being a householder, and then he says, of course, also a sannyasi, a renunciate, can have attachments, but then he says, but they are usually never that strong as a householder can have, but still, these Upādhis are strong. Reminds me of this other reincarnation story, which who was that, Mataji, who told that? Remember from the UK this story? One brahmachari who took initiation from Prabhupada, and then he took birth again as a woman.
Yeah, in Indian body.
Indian bodied, yeah.
That story.
It's an amazing story, and how she realized at some point who she was, and Devaki.
No.
I'm not sure.
There are different cases also.
It was a Mataji, yeah. Yeah, Bhakti Chaumarch, yeah. Yes, exactly. Then it got published in a magazine. This Mataji became a disciple of Bhakti Chaumarch, and then she got it. No, it was not Turkish. No, it was someone else.
Maybe I mentioned it also once here, maybe.
The point being that he was a renunciate, but internally the attachment was so strong that he took birth as a woman because he was attached to a woman. And so it's an internal thing. And how can we protect ourselves from that? It's a very good question, actually. We have to be introspective, and we have to observe ourselves. Like sometimes I see myself, the Upādhis temple president, coming forward, and I think it's good at least that I notice, okay, I have an Upādhi and it's showing, and then at least I'm aware and I know I have to deal with this. That's definitely the first step, awareness. We have to know what's my Upādhi. It's not like, oh, I'm good, but then you have all these Upādhis carrying in your heart. I'm a man, they are women, and I'm this and that. I'm a senior devotee. I'm a Swiss. Of course, that's not a devotional Upādhi. So awareness is the first step, and then once we are aware, we probably be more attentive how we control that Upādhi. And usually if we practice properly, Krishna will take care. We don't have to worry too much. If we focus on our service properly, our sadhana and service properly, it's not that I now need to sit down 1 hour a day and just think, how am I going to fix this Upādhi? No, it's by engaging properly, it will get purified. Krishna will take care. He's in our heart, and Sarvasya Chamri Sani Vishto Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So he's giving us the knowledge, and the other verse, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu Mata Sarvam Pravat Iti Mata Vajantima Buddha Bhava Saman Pachita Mat Kata Prana Bodhyanpa. The Dami Buddhi Yogam. Yeah. So Krishna says, if I properly worship him, he will give the intelligence how I can come. And that means how to give up the Upādhis also. Because the Upādhis are the stumbling block. So we should be faithful to Krishna, that he is the perfect physician, physical, spiritual physician. He can remove it in a nice way. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes he has to give a little kick and cut it out, but he will take care of it. Yeah. You wanted to say something?
Just what came to my mind is the awareness that we are playing a role, and
yeah,
we have to play roles, and we have to play them good, especially this kind of person. You can just be detached of your role, but then when you're chanting or going out of the role, you're really disconnecting.
yes.
But I found the point more beautiful that we just let Krishna take over control and trust him more than to work on ourselves, like to really try to get rid of something.
I'm sorry, you remind me of a verse I was looking the morning, I can't remember. Maybe I find it. Which, anyway, I don't find it. This verse of, we need to, have a certain identity. Rupa Goswami says that if someone is, one symptom of being Krishna conscious is that one performs the duty even more perfect. This example of the housewife who has a lover is given. So sometimes it happens that we think, okay, I have to give up my Upādhis, and then it results in me being neglectful of my duty. But the Rupa Goswami says, no, it's the opposite. If you become Krishna conscious, you will actually perform your duty in this world even better. And he gives the example of the housewife who doesn't want to, wants to make sure that nobody notices that she has an affair with another husband. Yes, so thank you for your attention. Have a nice day in Krishna consciousness. And remember, after the Mangala Arati and the morning program is before the morning program. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Так же,
Krishna,
да, как
Hare
может.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Харе,
Hare
харе.
Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Джая. Пойдемте сюда.
He knows everything.
Так, руку. Вот эту. Правая. Так. И вот так. О, и руку помыть.
Can't wash it.
О,
Thank you.
да, вот это вы попали сегодня. Удачно. Вот это. Я думал, да.
It's for you.
Вот это, да, Господь. Объясняй, Джаганат.
It's for Jagannath. He said, I'm translating.
Баладев,
Baladev,
Субхадра,
Subhadra,
Нитянанда, Чайтанья.
Nityananda on the left side, Chaitanya on the right side.
Да. Это Нарисимхадев.
In the middle it's Nrisimhadev. Tomorrow, завтра праздник. Tomorrow will be a big festival. It's appearance. Yes, tomorrow. It's appearance day of Lord
Так что
Nrisimhadev.
приходите, это будет праздник.
He invites you to come also tomorrow here because we will have very big festival.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And когда-то будет встреча начало там никогда?
Да, где-то так. Что
Yes, we
приходите.
start at 3 o'clock.
Yesterday maybe I'll go to Italy. Tomorrow morning I will.
Она завтра утром в Италию уезжает.
Ну туда попадет, там надо узнать, где искон, туда, в Италию.
He said that you need to know in Italy where is a temple like this, but you can also join the program in Italy because
Да.
tomorrow will be big
Ну,
festival.
пойдемте покушаем просада.
He invited you to accept prasad.
У нас завтрак.
Yes, prasad. It's we cook food and we offer to the Lord, and then this food it's like not normal food. It's beautiful like holy food, and we take this, and now we have breakfast, and he invites you to take breakfast now.
I just had my breakfast now.
Она только позавтракала.
Нет, там чуть-чуть.
A little bit.
Okay, thank you. It's Indian.
Yes, it's from India, but now this temple is all over the world.
Oh.
For example, I'm originally, and he is also, we are originally from Ukraine, and we joined this temple in Ukraine.
Buddhist